Hi, students. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim, and thank you all so much for all the love and support. Hope you all are doing great. So we'll be talking something very important. And before we get into this video, I want every one of us to be very careful, especially parents. And if you are a college student, I hope you are very careful. So Ron DeSantis all of a sudden woke up and said that if you are a student and you have protested against Israel, or you are planning to, but right now, any student, if you have protested against Israel, you are going to be expelled. This is happening in Florida. And now let's get into this. Moving forward, trying to find out why this man woke up and all of a sudden he wants to expel students that protest against. Now we found out that APAC has given a whole lot of money. You are also going to see the chart and see the money they took from APAC, because it looks like APAC is the real deal that is giving out money. Because I mean, they want everybody to support them. And then you all remember that Florida is where work goes to die. All of a sudden, work became another slang on its own that they cannot define. Work became something that it's so huge that they cannot handle, and all of a sudden they started looking for work. Florida is where work goes to die. Florida, anything that got to do with African American history is value and length, and do not want it to be taught in schools. Slaves all of a sudden benefited slaves. Let's get into this.
I've gotten to the point where if a politician does anything remotely fashy, I go check their donation and campaign records. Saw this: Ron DeSantis plans to expel all students from Florida who protest Israel. I said, oh, that was stupid. And then I immediately went to the Googles. It's literally to the point where I have opensecrets.org bookmarked on my phone. All of our politicians' donation records are public information. I went to the Googles and saw that Ron DeSantis has been gifted almost $400,000 and counting from the Israel lobby. Israel literally paid him to do this. Johnson, the Speaker of the House, the man that single-handedly made sure that the TikTok bill, the Taiwan aid, the Ukraine aid, and the Israel aid was pushed through in 72 hours last week, has literally been swimming in Israel money. Israel is sending him money as soon as he passes pro-Israel legislation. Truly makes you wonder, what were our politicians getting away with in 1892 when there was no internet? I say this with zero exaggeration. I think Israel has more influence on what laws get passed in our country than we do. I've gotten to the point where if a politician does anything remotely fashy,
I'm not surprised of what this gentleman has saying about them bribing, or the community a certain community is bribing the senators to pretty much to prevent this, boycotting, speeching, and protesting and all that stuff, especially about people fighting for the cause of Palestine. Because years back, like I was saying, in 2021, I wanted to know why they wanted to change the whole entire American history, especially Black history, and try to eliminate it. Come to find out by reading this article here. It said the title of it says where the false claims that Jews have, and this is just educational purposes, and this is from an article that I read. It says controls the slave trade that came from. This is from the title of the article. Okay. It shows on this caption, if you pause and read, it says the role of some Jewish people played in Atlantic slave trade on both trades and also slave owners has long acknowledged by historians, but allegations are recently decent from the Jews playing as a disproportionate of the role of slave of American history. And it says African Americans, that was in fact covered by several topics of controversy. Now, there was several documentations that was also removed from YouTube that was from the former member of David Duke, who was a Ku Klux Klan member, people that was a National Islam, and also from the Nation of Islam, which is Louis Farrakhan. Now, these were careful, detailed information, and that's kind of odd for David Duke to bring that to our fruition, because David Duke is a white supremacist. He don't like Black people, and they said that they took over 50,000 videos out of there, because these are the same community that will come and look on your social media and have their own media team to try to eliminate disclose and even ban and even block your content from various places, including anything that's affiliated with Google or Apple, including this app right here. But this is an educational purpose. Then as you scroll down, like you could scroll down, they said over 75% of Jewish families in Charleston, South Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Savannah, Georgia, had owned slaves, nearly 40% of the Jewish household across the country. Now, if you go further in the thing, it tells you the famous people them who were senators and who also was known as executive agents that was behind the scenes of the government, okay, that wanted to basically continue on the legacy of slavery and did not want to overturn slavery. And some of them have affiliated into banking systems because Chase Bank invested in slavery, Wells Fargo, New York Life Insurance, and they were all run by this particular community. That's why when we were screaming out reparations and demanding reparations and having our committee and stuff, they try to shut it down because guess what? If you look at the population and scroll down, it was owned by them. They even said that Ali Fisher was a historian who carefully researched, their own people researched and even said that half of them during the period of the 1700s all the way to the 1800s, they had owned slaves. Then they were saying that the slavery made a commodity for them and made them wealthy, and even to the monarchy because they're the ones who developed the banking system. If you read, they said numbers of wealthy Jews also involved slave trade in America. Some of them were shipped. They were also traders. Okay, they were slave traders and they were also slave owners. Okay, they said here were slave agents. They said they also resold them. They said in America, there was a man called Isaac DeCasco of Charleston, David Frank of Philadelphia, Aaron Lopez of Newport. They said Rhodes was Rhode Island was among of the early American Jews that was prominently doing import-export towards Africans, the originally known as African Americans, and it goes all the way down. So it's so ironic how, even though the World War II was a different era, but they get reparations for their Holocaust situation as being Holocaust survivors and including their generation, even though their generation didn't suffer it, but they get a pension over it. But we try to be demanding to get reparations and we can't even get that. Okay. And when you look at the history books, it archives. That is the reason why they wanted to limit our Black American history. Okay. They control our education. They control our government. They control our censorship. They control everything. That we cannot say anything to them because it's anti-Semitic. But look at the things that their founding fathers have done to us. Okay. Which was anti-woke, which is against blacks. Okay. Slavery. Then later on it shift into Jim Crow law. Then it shift into something else of restricting us to get our 40 acres and a mule. And even if we can't get the 40 acres and a mule, but at least what about our reparations? Okay, so if Ron DeSantis took a bribe, he's known for that. But he probably took the bribe that same time when they eliminated our Black History Month, not even Black History Month, our Black history from the books and even from literature, okay, from famous Black authors who wrote books which was non-fictional versus fictional, okay? It's getting too much now and getting too rundle that every time they violate our first continental rights, now students can't even make a protest, a peaceful protest to see the genocides that's taking place. And now you're looking at little situations happening where Haiti, come to find out, Haiti was all of this situation comes from a billionaire, okay, that pretty much is part of their team. Then you look at the colonized situation that's happening in Congo with the largest diamond district that's there. And then also in South Africa and then Sudan too. Then you see that now Mexico is run by somebody just like them. And 78, 99, 80% of Mexicans are Catholics. So something's wrong with the equation. Then they want to change our way of learning about Christ. When we knew existed, he was crucified by the hands of Romans and them. Okay? And now they're trying to say that we can't say that. Okay? But you see, way back before October the 7th of 2023, there was articles that they were trying to change the religion over there in Israel. They were eliminating the Christians, that they no longer could use crosses and none of that stuff. And they were also forbidding certain of the blacks that look like me to be in certain type of, to stay home and be in lockdown. And they were ill-treating them. And then some of the ones that were asylum seekers that was from Ethiopia, Rwanda, whatever, they turned around. You don't know what had happened to them. Then rumors had it that they had them transferred to England. Then England turned around and put them in a different place. And who knows if they're still there. All we see is just people dying multiple times in Palestine. Okay, and this is coming from other footage of other newspapers that, to me, have the guts more than Americans do. Okay, but this is the main reason why they try to shut down our Black American history. I just wanted to pinpoint y'all because based on this article, when you look at the statistics of how they owned us as slaves, and we should demand our reparations for real, because if we do our careful research and find out that they had something to do with it, then they need to pay. They need to pay big time. Okay? And even with that situation, with what they're doing to the people them overseas, especially in Palestine, Congo, and even in Haiti too. And if you go further into the thing, they even said that based on their research that was in the 1990s, where they were still having slavery and trade going on. Yes, I want you to read this article. Just click on the article and then it tells you more in depth of how they pretty much conquered us as slaves. And then we had the slavery from long time through the Caribbean. And so I want you guys to read this part.
I've gotten to the point where if a politician does anything remotely fashy.
You remember back in 2000, I think 22, we kept on making campaigns about reparations. Then all of a sudden we don't hear nothing about it no more. Who did you think has tried to eliminate Black history? Because who did you think who has tried to remove our Black history and wanted to try to rewrite the history books and try to limit all our, from our authors and stuff, if it's pertaining about the South, whether it was about Jim Crow laws, segregation, or any type of thing, and he kept on saying queer ideology and all kinds of stuff like that. Who you think he did? Who you think was the one that was funding them to limit our Black history? The same people that's funding about preventing doing any protests for pro-Palestine. Check it out. And it was the same thing. First, it started with Gregory Abbott, right? Gregory Abbott was first, and then he made the law. But come to find out, the people that's finding is the same ones that's saying anti-Semitic and want to make the anti-Semitic laws. They try to prevent us from learning our history and trying to take it out of publications from higher learning and all the way into education. Yes, all these laws that we starting to see that's coming out with this DEI and all that stuff, because one of the men who has a group called the DEI, American Corporations, his name is Edward Bloom, and that was the one that stopped the affirmative action for higher learning. Then it started to escalate in any type of sector that deals with people to prevent them from getting jobs, to go to school and so forth. They're the ones that turned around and did it. Those same people, they write a law to prevent people from speaking anything against them, including if, God forbid, if we say that they were the ones that crucified Christ, right? They wanted to make that law to be adjusted, and I think that law has already been adjustable. I'm not sure. However, they're the same ones that try to cancel our culture as far as Black American history. Because if you look in the history books, when slavery first started and who did the banking system, it was the Rothschild. It was a lot of people that came from the same place of the good old western part of Germany. Okay? in the good old western part of England and in the good old western part of it, and they were part of the banking system because they're the ones who used to do the funding for England when it was Atlantic slavery and invested into slavery. Yes, those same old ones that's trying to get a law to prevent people from talking anything against them. Yes, and they're the ones who control the government from way, way back. This is not the first time. If you live in New York, and especially in the upskirt, they rule the education system. They rule the market system. They rule practically every single thing. The courthouse, whether it's civil court, let's say you owe a bill on something, they rule everything. And I mean everything. Okay? This nation made them for some reason to be control of every single thing. And not all of them is bad because I interacted with them and I look at people as people's people. I don't discriminate them where they come from and everything because all I know is about their first and last name and that's it. But for some reason, this same particular group, they're the ones who started to come up with this DEI, inclusion, it's diversity, equality, inclusion, and having this corporation, and they're the ones that started affirmative action. They're the ones against affirmative action. They're the ones that turn around and say they want to move Black history because we kept on saying reparations. And we should get our reparations because if they got their reparations from Germany, okay, based on the harshness that happened to them in Germany, and remind you, there was Black people that was also a part of the Holocaust too in Germany and right here in America because they had a Black Holocaust first here. And they had it they had it in Africa and then they had it here too. All right. We should get reparations. Okay. Regardless, because if you look at some of the history books and from generation down, who was the number one slave owners? It was them. They owned us as slaves. If you check out Gregory Abbott, if you check out Cecil Rhodes, if you check out Cecil Rhodes, the man who did the apartheid, that started the apartheid in Congo and South Africa, and if you even look back to even Elon Musk's family line, half of them had owned slaves. Majority of them are. Like, for example, we get to find out the guy who was the CEO of Reggae Records, come to find out his great-grandfather was a slave owner and his background was Jewish. Yes. So if you look at the lineage of slavery and you look at the lineage, and this is educational purposes, TikTok, okay, because this is the honest to God truth. And this 100% ethnic thing. If you Google back and you check out who had the most slaves and who was running the slave trade, it was them. They was the ones. First it was the Muslims and Arabs, but they were the ones that was running the slave trade. From the Caribbean, from Africa to America, Canada, even South America, they were running it because they were running the banking system for England and for the West. For England to basically have the number one when it came to financial and to have financial gain. Check it out.
So this is all I got from this video, and sincerely speaking, Ron DeSantis, I do not know how to start this, but I am not gonna lie to you. Ron DeSantis has really done so much harm to Florida. Like, I don't know, but his government has really done so many terrible things. And the fact that they wake up every day and make some laws or rules without even thinking back and all that tells you a lot. And to tell you some fascists, like, because he is one, right? I want you to know that sometimes when they wake up to make some rules, they don't just wake up to make it. A lot of check has been given to them. Because tell me how you woke up to say that any student that is from Florida, whoever protests against Israel, right, is going to be expelled. Now, I don't know how much APAC gave him, because they've been going from one place to another, looking for something to do, looking for people but they have been winning souls and all that. And like he said, going to check the donations and all that they have given to the people. Because tell me how somebody woke up all of a sudden and says that if anything happens against these people, that is the end of it. But then you saw that, you saw the distance. That is the donation. I probably cannot see it, but as you watch the video, I am very sure that you saw it. The senator, the state, and the amount that was given to them, right? You all can see all that. You see that are some of the things they wake up to do against people that look like me and other people of color tells a whole lot. You can imagine how much Ron DeSantis how much he has taken from them. Almost $400,000. Why would he enact such law? Now, this is to tell you how all of a sudden, it was in Florida that all of a sudden slavery, all of a sudden it was benefited to slaves. And all of a sudden, Florida is where woke goes to die. And all of a sudden, anything that got to do with Black people, Black history is violent. And all of a sudden, burn any book that got to do with African American. They don't care what that book is all about, as long as it got to talk about your history, as long as it got to talk about your experiences as a person. That is not good for colored people because it hurts their feeling. So for that reason, why do I have to hurt the feeling of my own people just to elevate the other people? It does not happen. Now, moving forward, Ron DeSantis is just not, he's just a fascist, sincerely speaking. That is whom he is. And the fact that they do some stunning things without even thinking about them, how do I expect him to think about the things he is going to do or the laws he's making and all that when there is a whole big fact check around him? How do you want him to think and consider other people? So this is more also like, how do I say it? This is also trying to prepare us ahead of time to know what is going on for those that live in Florida. And you all remember that if you are in Florida, I hope you are really very careful. And there is NAACP still says that Florida is not a good place for people that look like me to go and all that. So if you decide to go there, and I hope you take all the, you are careful and all that. And if you live there, I hope you are really very careful with your kids. Make sure, because most of these things they do, if you do not know, you might fall a victim. So this is also like trying to enlighten us to know that there is also law saying that you do not, or maybe you are in college or this thing, do not protest, especially when it comes to Israel. Probably you're trying to defend Palestine and all that. Please do not defend anybody. Why? I have my reasons, because I don't want anything to happen to you. Yeah. So in as much as we are trying to create awareness over what is happening and we'll keep creating awareness, I also do not want anybody to fall victim, especially someone that is in college or somebody that is in school. I mean, your future is very, very much important for me. Yes. Because that degree, you should come back home with a degree and pursue your career and make something out of it, because I know what it's like going to college and how much you pay to be in college, especially when your parents are also the one funding, or probably you took a loan to go to that school. In as much as I am trying to, but I do not want anything to happen to people that look like me. That is just my stand. Let's all be guided and be very careful. Thank you all so much for all the love and support, and see you all in my next video. Bye for now.